Hi, welcome to the Wealthy Retailer Podcast. My name is Dan Holman, and if you're in and around the world of independent retail or retail in general, you're going to love this podcast and my guest. Today, Bruce Kirkland, the president of Lexus Edmonton, is joining us, and I've asked Bruce to come and share some of his experiential retail expertise, if you will. Bruce, thank you so much for joining me, my friend. I appreciate it.
It's an honor to be here. I'm actually kind of excited to talk about Lexus of Edmonton and our unique approach to the auto industry for sure. But this approach, I think, can go across all businesses, Dan. It's not just for one, right?
Yeah, very well said. Very well said.
Yeah.
You know, our life sort of revolves around that independent retailer, but we certainly reach outside of that for shining examples. So before we dig into some of these examples, I want you to tell us a little bit about Bruce. Tell us sort of where you've come from and how you've become this, god in the auto world that you are, this famous dude.
I'm going to have to pay him before we get going here. So. It's interesting, Dan, because when I opened Lexus of Edmonton and I put the shovel in the ground, I had absolutely no car experience. So if people were kind of, this guy's going to fail, he has no car experience. But I bring a wide variety of backgrounds. First, my background was in education for a while, and then I started a property tax company, and we built that and got sold by Deloitte. I had to work for Deloitte for a while. That's not an independent retailer, and it was a very different culture. And then after I left Deloitte, I started an off-site document storage company, and that got bought by Recall. So many varieties, but through all those industries, there's some common threads, and across all retail industry and stuff. So when I put the shovel in the ground, it was an interesting story. I built it, and then I started interviewing people. And the first group I took was, and I better be careful here, but was all car salesmen, right? And after every interview, I went, no. And it's funny. I asked one of the guys, "Can you give me a list of the customers that you sold to?" And he goes, "Why would you want that?" And I said, "Well, I want to know what people say about you." Because, so I thought about it lots that night, and I changed it, and I hired people out of hospitality. And I decided then that my business would really be a hospitality business on top of a car business.
Right.
And I think that's the problem with lots of businesses. They don't see themselves as hospitality, don't see themselves as the customer experience being the most important thing.
Right.
The most important thing in any industry. And I think we've all lost that. And so sometimes I have to remind my staff to step back and what business we're in. And people always say, I'm in the hospitality and relationship business. And people look at me and say, I thought you were in the car business. Well, it's the same.
It's the same.
It's the same. Right. It doesn't change, right? So it was very unique. And so when we opened the door, people said he wouldn't be successful. And pretty soon the other companies woke up and we'd already passed them.
Right, you've already long since passed them. And how long has Lexus of Edmonton been open now?
It's been 15 years since we built on 170th Street. We put the shovel in the ground, and 15 years. When we opened it, we had 10% of the market, and right now we have 23% of luxury in Edmonton, the only city in Canada where Lexus is number one on market. I have an amazing team. I'm really proud of that, because to be, in other cities, Lexus is 4 and 5, in Edmonton they're number one.
Right.
We all have the same product.
Yes.
There's a different approach on the business side of it.
Right.
And I think that's
and I think
really
you
key.
have a unique approach. You talked about it as you started, about the way that you looked at interviewed salespeople, but you have a different approach to recruiting and hiring and coaching your team. And you have people in your store today that are there for the 12 years I've been a customer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a real true sign of the culture that we built, because culture is really important inside our industry. Sometimes if you go buy a car, the guy's gone in a week. But you're right, my general manager, now business partner, started with me 13 years ago. But we went and hired people out of hospitality. People can learn the product.
Right.
You can't teach the hospitality side, in my view. So we went out and we got people out of Earl's, we got people out of any hospitality store, and restaurants were really, really good for us, because Earl's has a really good training program, and when you're in hospitality, you're smiling, and is your fries okay? Can I get you another drink?
That's right.
And they're always trying to make sure right, and if something's not right, they have the power to make it right. I think our people know that they're empowered to make decisions, but our onboarding is very important. Our staff has to know our DNA. And lots of times people onboard and don't really talk about their DNA. And that onboarding has to be done by me. It has to be. And so anyone that's new has to be onboarded, and I have to spend time with them. We have a video PowerPoint. We talk about who we are, and where we're going, and why we're successful. But I think industry should look more to hospitality or train on the hospitality side.
Right. Right, and I think that in your store, it's evident. I keep calling it a store because I believe that that's what it is. You know, I believe you're a store unlike like many others.
Yeah.
You're selling a product and a service like the rest of us. And so, you know, even when I come in that store, you know, there is a different feeling when I walk in.
Well, and I think that's important. There's a different feeling. We are in high-end luxury, and I believe we're in luxury. So we treat it like a luxury hotel, like you're coming to a Ritz-Carlton or a Four Seasons. Someone's going to open the door for you. A simple thing.
Yes.
But you would not believe how many people come to ask, can I see Bruce? And I come down and go, you know, someone opened the door for me today. That simple thing. We don't page in our store.
Right.
I can't stand polluting the air, right? Parts 101, service 2, Bruce, pick up long distance. That's just pollutes the air, in my view. And it takes away from an atmosphere of the culture we have, which is, you know, we're in hospitality. And when you come in, someone's probably going to ask you 4 or 5 times, do you want water, do you want coffee? Right. Can I help you? And the other thing
I want you to know, it's everyone that asks you that question. It's not the concierge, it's not the receptionist, it's not the parts guy. Every single person, do you need a water, would you like a coffee?
I think that's really important because, and they smile. And you can tell in the store when people are smiling and laughing. I know from my office when I hear people smiling and laughing, I'm happy.
Right.
I really am because you know there's that energy in the store.
Right.
I think it's important that we look at our businesses always. Are you working in your business or on your business? And it's a big difference, as you know, because you've been very, very successful in every place you've been as well. So, but I look at it through a different lens, and my team looks at it through a different lens. But you have to keep training. You have to make sure that we train every day in our store. Every day we have training in the morning.
What a good point. We just wrapped up a video series, and I talked about one of the 5 rules is always be coaching, not always be selling, always be coaching. Coaching and training. You know, training. I mean, you know, I have sort of removed training from my vocabulary, and now that you already come to me, you're already trained. You can sit and stand and pee and do all of that stuff, and now I'm going to coach you how to do it better. You know, you learned how to play hockey when you were a child, and I'm going to coach you how to be better at it. And I think that ongoing coaching is paramount in every business.
I absolutely agree, and it separates us out. And we don't just train on the product. I totally agree with you. We don't but we do train on the product and our competitors, but we train on all sorts of things. We can remind them of our DNA. We'll bring a speaker in on hospitality. You know, Danny Meyer, who's a world-renowned restaurateur out of New York, he does a great video for us. And so we're always trying to have our staff improve and grow. And I think that's important, and I'm involved in that, as is Matt is. We don't turn that over to somebody else. And we're finding that our inside training is more successful sometimes than bringing an outside trainer in that really doesn't understand our culture. Right. You know, so I think training, and I call it mentorship, and spend as much time making sure people have goals and they're writing them down, and we're following up with them. And every quarter we're sitting down with our salespeople saying, where are you? How can we improve you? And I think the question is how can we help you be better?
Be better.
Not, well, Dan, you're not doing very well. We're not very happy. It's Dan. You know, like you want to get to 10 cars, or Dan, you want to do this. How can we help you? What's your roadblocks? You know, really trying to assist them to be successful. Because if they're successful, guess what?
You stand at the bottom of your hierarchy.
Absolutely.
You know, you're there to support the team that's above you to achieve their goals. That's admirable. And I don't know that everyone does that. So you've said culture 16 times, and I want you to do me a favor. I want you to define the Lexus of Edmonton culture for me, as concisely as you can. I know that it's a big thing, but define culture for me.
Culture for us is to make sure that everybody that walks into our store feels like they're a guest in our home. That's really important, and that's why you hear of all the stuff about, do you have a stuff? We walk you to the door, we open the door for you, we're positive, we smile. We always try to do the extra things that other people don't do. Go the extra mile in our culture. And to go the extra mile is such simple things. In business, we all probably do the big things well, but it's the little things that separate us from other car dealerships. And it's that kind of stuff. It's just being happy, looking after the guests, doing the extra mile. And I said, like, we call them guests, we don't call them customers, right? And we could, like, you're a guest in our home. In your home. And we try to make, it's a feeling, our culture is a feeling. People come into our store and go like, it feels different here. And I love that.
Yes, it does feel different, you're right.
And so why does it feel different? It's all the little things that make it feel different, right? You know,
and so do you have a pre-established set of values that you look for in people that are become their guiding principle, that is aligned with, what your vision is?
We look always for people skills first.
Right.
We always look for people skills first. We also, it's funny on the sales side, different on the tech side, I think. Sales side, we always look for things. First, are you educated? Which is really important in my store. I really do not hire people that are uneducated.
Right.
It sounds dumb, but even if you've been to NAIT, you've been to Grant McEwen, you've a Concordia, anywhere, as long as you're educated on the sales side, that helps. Have you been involved? Have you volunteered? Or you've been on a sports team? We're looking for those kind of things. We're looking for the soft kind of skills. When you've been through 100 resumes and they all look the same. Right. So when we get in front of people, we always say, tell us about yourself. And we'll say, tell us what people think about you. I think it's important that you look for things through the resume to those kind of things. Education's important, sports teams are important, volunteer things are important.
Why is volunteer important?
Because part of our big culture is giving back to the community. And we want people to give back. So not just the company giving back, but our staff giving back. And I think when people volunteer in the community and do stuff in the community, they've got some kind of different value, and it's a value that we have shared common values. And when you have shared common values, the staff it's important, right?
I mean, I think more than a lot of business owners and managers that I've met, in the 12 or 15 years I've been here, you're invested in this community. You go above and beyond to be connected to the community, and certainly have been recognized and duly so for being that big community leader. And how do you coach that into your team now?
Well, I think first off, we try to hire that they'll do that. We involve them. We say to our staff all the time, what value do you have? What organization are you passionate about? And we try to say, okay, I'm really passionate about Parkinson's. And so we sit down with them and say, well, let's look if there's an opportunity at Parkinson's. I mean, for us, it's our core value to give back to this community. The community gives back to us. Right. Why don't we give back to the community? We live here. And it's funny because we get people saying, do something that's across Edmonton, Calgary, Red Deer. I'm not interested. Right. I'm interested in local and local only. And I think that our staff is really involved in that process. And they come to me all the time saying, can we sponsor this? Or, my mom's got breast cancer. Can we do the breast cancer walk? And we never kind of say no to that. We really look at that. And so that's engaging your staff. That holds your staff there too. They see you supporting them. You're supporting them, right? Yeah. And it doesn't have to be always a big check. It can be, let's just organize a walk and do the stuff. Dan, when I opened, it was really funny. I had to change the vision. So I became an event center. Yes. And it was really interesting. And I had a sales manager who was a very old car guy, and I started hosting events inside the store. And he thought I was absolutely crazy. We're doing business here. What do we, And we'd move the cars out, and we'd have people in, and he thought, well, this is ridiculous. But what it did is people came to a place, and the next time they came, they'd already been there. They felt comfortable. They knew that, and established a reputation in town that, wow, Lexus is everyone that gives back. It was a win for me. They were coming to my store. They were in my store. There may be an event, but they saw a couple of cars and looked around. And
they certainly got a feeling of your staff,
absolutely,
your team.
And it was better. It was better than advertising in the paper. It was better than advertising on the radio. Right. Because then people left and said, oh, I was at Lexus of Edmonton last night at an event. Well, what do you mean you're at an event at Lexus of Edmonton? Oh, and they were amazing. The staff was great and stuff. And we started doing that, and it became one of our core values, a unique way to give back to the community. Right. Less checks from me. Having people in our home, and when you come to our home, then you may want to come back to our home if we treat you right.
And how many events do you still do today a month?
We used to do one a month, which was big, but it became honestly a little tiring for the staff. Yeah. And so now we've chosen about 5 major events in the store a year, and that's our month. Doesn't mean that we're not supporting outside the community. But people think I'm Syncrude or Telus because like you, I get a stack of people now saying, and some people ask me, well, can I get $25,000? I'm going like, I'm a boutique store. I'm one roof. Yes. And because our reputation, it's great though. Our reputation is really good. I'll tell you a really interesting story. I called Matt Miller, who's my business partner now, and I said, Matt, we've made it. And he goes, what do you mean you made it? I said, I got a call today. He goes, what's that call about? And I said, well, there's this organization, the professional fundraisers, and they're doing a Dragon's Den. Yeah. And so, they want 3 judges, and they called me, and Matt goes, why do we make it? I go, well, Matt, it's the vice president of TELUS on it. They've asked him to serve on it. It's a massive big company, and they asked the director of RBC. and Bruce Kirkland from Lexus. And you know, when you think of TELUS and RBC
Right.
and how big they are, and then there's this little one boutique store in Edmonton, and it was because we're doing so much in the community.
Right.
That turned into, you know, Dragon's Den. We have $200,000. Would
Yes.
you give it to us? The problem is that of course after that the 6 people that presented the Dragon's Den all called me and said, "Can you sponsor something?
Can you sponsor something for us?"
Yeah. So, but it was kind of like, it made our reputation like, wow, like we're in that league that people think that
Right.
we are giving back. So I think it's really helped us in our sales too, because people shared values. Like when we sponsor the Edmonton Symphony Orchestra, people on the board there at some point go like, you know, they have shared values. I should go give them a look.
This is where I should look.
At least look.
Right.
At least give us the opportunity.
Right.
And that's all we want. We only want the opportunity. And if you
Right.
have the opportunity, and I think once we have the opportunity, we kind of knock it out of the park. So it's good.
I think I've told you this story before, but Bruce and I met for the first time, I think it was 2007 or 2008, on an advertising trip. And maybe had a rum and coke.
Maybe.
Maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's so long ago.
Yeah. It is a long time ago.
But when we came back from that trip, I think we were in the airport, you know, and we had sort of connected and said, man, what a pleasure it was.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun together. And then about a week or so later, I got this handwritten note from you that said it was a pleasure to meet. And I mean, it was a personal connection that, you know, for me, it wasn't about the car. It was, I called you and said, hey, listen, I need a Lexus.
Yeah.
I need to be one of your customers.
Well, and the thing is that I teach my staff too, let's not sell. We're not selling anything.
Right.
I mean, and that's important. I'm a big believer in handwritten notes still to this day, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I think it's a lost art. People send an email and say, you know, thanks for meeting the event last night. I will always try to write a handwritten note.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lost art, and people and make it personal, not like, you know, it's great to meet you when you come by Lexus, or when I meet you when I meet you again. It's just like, wow, it's great. And I try to teach my staff that those kind of personal outreach things are way better.
Right, much better.
You know? And you're not calling, hey Dan, there's a sale. Hey Dan, hey Dan, we got a sale. Hey Dan, it's 1%. And this call for sales all the time. Well, people
That's
just
noise.
get turned off.
It is noise.
It's noise.
It is noise.
And it becomes white noise, and people forget about it.
And let's not. I mean, it is important. That's part of the business. We have to sell cars.
We absolutely have to sell cars.
But it's the other things that we do.
Right.
And I think I've maybe said this before. I feel like retail is going to go backwards by about 50 years right now. And we're going to get back to this place where when you walk in my store, I know your name. I know who you are. I have the ability to write you a note and say, thanks for spending time with me.
You know, when Matt trained this the other day when we're talking, he says, you know, hotels do it very well. They know you.
Right.
And he says, you know, when Bruce goes to Toronto, when he gets to the front desk, they go, Mr. Kirkland, welcome back. And, you know, and we have your room away from the elevator because we know you don't like the elevator.
Right.
And you still want the Globe and Mail in the morning. And, you know, and they know you.
They know you.
Because the CRM is great, and they have a great CRM.
Right.
We can do way better than that. Like, I know the people, and I'm teaching my staff, like, do they have a dog? Well then, or they travel to Mexico? The next time you send them an email, say, hey Dan, I was just thinking about you. I saw this article in Mexico, like, in Vallarta, it's a new restaurant. Send it to them. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
You don't have to, you know, and put it back. And by the way, when you come to buy a car, but I think we need to, I totally agree that retail needs to go back to where it's more personal, where we know your name.
Right.
We know a little bit about you, and we can start with that.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I came in the store a couple of weeks ago, you know, and hadn't seen Dean as one of the, what I call him, a service advisor.
Yeah, service advisor. Been with me a long time.
Very long time. And I remember being at an event and Dean sitting at a table representing Lexus, and we had a great connection and a conversation. But I hadn't seen him for a couple of years, and I walked in, and we instantly reconnected. And he knew my name. It was like I was at Cheers.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to sit down and have a beer or a latte or whatever I wanted, really. Yeah. But it's that level of connection to your client that keeps them coming back.
Absolutely. It's truly different than any other store. And the other thing is you as a leader or manager or whatever needs to model that.
Right.
And we model that. My door is always open. Matt's door is always open. If a guest wants to see us, we're down there.
Right.
And when I opened, I was at the service counter every morning, not hiding.
Yes, in plain sight.
In plain sight, saying, how are you today? What's going on? If there's an issue, can I handle it? And I think that was really a visible manager, and we do that still to this day.
And in retail, far too many leaders take themselves off of the game floor, off the floor, and they hide in the back room or up in their office or wherever, instead of being present with their guest.
Absolutely, and for us, it's important. The start of our day is very busy. and the end of our day is super busy,
Right.
it's important that we're visible. So if there's an issue, I'm not leaving Dean handle if it's an issue.
Right.
But you also empower them to make a decision.
Of course.
They have all the power in the world to decide.
Yes.
I will never not support them. We will coach them, train them on the decision. If we're not happy, we're not going to come and say, well, that's,
Right.
Dan, that's absolutely stupid.
Right.
Instead of saying, Dan, you made this call, that's great. The guest is happy, that's great. Next time, what do you think about doing it this way or another way to do
Right.
it? That's all about mentoring and coaching the whole
Right.
time.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
don't carry a big stick around. And I think
No.
I think that old manager system where you're the manager and you better pay attention, listen to me, is
Right.
gone. It
It's
should
gone.
be gone.
Should be gone.
Should be gone.
I think
It's
we
not.
still see it in some retail
yeah,
places, in some
absolutely.
retail
Yep.
businesses, or in lots of businesses
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
You know, and at a level, it is a dictatorship.
Oh, yeah.
At some level,
yeah.
at
Yeah.
the end of the day,
You have to make the decision.
this is how you have to
Yeah.
carry yourself in this business. The lines are wide, though.
Oh, you
Be
absolutely.
yourself, but this is what we need you to do.
Well, you
for
don't
our
want
guests.
robots. You don't
No,
want robots.
exactly.
You don't want.
You
to
need
stand up.
personality.
Personality for sure. And I think one of the things our success too is, as a mentor and a coach, and we're always asking people. I think in your life, there's two important things. You should have a mentor, find a coach, and be a lifelong learner. And so, reading great books, especially in retail, there's so many great books out there. You know, the Danny Meyer book's great. You look at Nordstrom's books. There's also Disney. I'm a big Disney fan, as you know. I love Disney.
Right.
I got my ears, so I'm pretty happy, right? So, and Disney training is amazing, and we not just
It is.
don't send me. Make sure that your frontline workers get to
Right.
engage in
Experience that.
experience it, right? But it's always, oh, there's a conference. Well, I'm going.
Yeah.
Like, well, what about Dean? What about Lee on the desk?
Right.
We just sent 2 of our top service advisors to the United States 2 weeks ago for a conference, and they came back so energized.
Right.
Because we were trying to make a move that we knew would be a tough move for them.
Yeah.
But we sent them to a conference, and they came back. They're championing it now.
They're championing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's about the inclusion. I mean, you need that
Absolutely.
frontline team to be included in what your vision is.
Well, they have bigger impact on the business than I do sitting up in my office.
Right.
And
Right.
people don't recognize that. Those frontline workers every day at the service desk, or
Yes.
those sales consultants, have a bigger impact sometimes than I will have.
For sure. And so let's talk about customers for a second. You know,
Yes, you mean?
Yeah, guests. Pardon me, guests. Let's talk about your
About
guests.
guests, yeah.
What is your, do you measure retention?
Retention is really important. And in the auto industry, it's called bleed. Like, how
Okay.
often do people bleed? And so we'll look, if we lose a guest, it's a bleed, or we lost the retention. And we look at that and we try to figure out that why. It's funny that we will lose a customer and 3 years later they're back because
back.
of our service.
Right.
They will want to try, because, like, everyone wants to try different cars sometimes.
Right.
Some people will never leave us because of service.
Right.
And before, to be honest, in 2007 and 2006, the cars were reliable, but they were boring.
Right.
Now they're sexy and
They're
reliable.
not they're not a boring car anymore.
No,
Right.
no, but they were, and now they,
Right.
and so we really had to work on service. I think we try to measure our retention as much as we can, and it's called bleed. So
And so how do you influence, do you know when someone is bleeding? Do you know when someone is on their way out?
yeah, we know, because if we store their tires and they ask for the tires back right away, that's
Right
a
away,
red
you know
flag.
there's a flag.
And that's a flag that then Matt and I'll pick up the phone and say, understand you're moving your tires out. Are you
Right.
Are you going to an independent, or did we do something wrong? And look, people, well, I'm moving, or Bruce, I love your service and stuff, but I've had Lexus for 8 years. I just want to try something different.
Right.
Or they may say, I had an issue, and then we go, well, if you have an issue, can you come in? Can we talk about it? The opportunity is always to try to make it right.
Right.
And the question always to you, Dan, is, Dan, how can we make this right?
Right.
Will you give me the opportunity to make this right?
Right.
And when you ask a person, Dan, will you give me the opportunity? Well, what are you going to say?
Yeah, exactly.
And the word track's so important, right? And I think we have to talk about, and we talk about word tracking all the time, not fake word tracking.
No,
but those kind
being
of things.
genuine and-
yeah.
it
And
is.
it's our philosophy, Dan. It's our commitment to you.
Right.
Those kind of things are important.
Right.
And certainly when someone's upset, we always say, will you give us the opportunity to make it right?
Right. Have you seen yourself bring in more other products to the building behind, to the used car center, to attract people?
Well, we have a great opportunity, and it's funny because I'll tell you, I have 2 stores, one in front and one in the back, and the pre-owned center is about, it's 50, 80 meters, 500 meters away. For the first 3 years, it could have been across town.
Right.
Because the culture was very different.
Very different.
And it's because we weren't visible there enough. I think on the pre-owned side, we have an opportunity it's the best kept secret in Edmonton, probably. Because when you buy a car from us, we're going to stand behind it.
Right.
It's not like, oh, you bought it, you drove it off the lot, you got home, and something happened. Well, sorry, you bought it.
You bought it.
Yeah, but I think we have a great opportunity there, and we're looking at it. Our detailing is phenomenal. I started Dan with 16 employees in 2005, and we're at 135 employees right now.
Wow.
That's tremendous growth, and that's had a full head of hair when I started there, and now I don't. But we have an opportunity there to do some stuff at the back, but we're so busy with our own guests and what we to expand out to do full detailing to the public and stuff. It would really hurt our guest experience. We always talk about the guest experience. It's so important for us, and we evaluate our guest experience all the time.
Yes.
So it's hard to do much that like we have a detailing special, or it's difficult.
Right.
There's so many pressure points right now.
Yes.
So many pressure points. So what we have to do is extend our hours, right? And of course, you have to work Saturday? Well, you never worked a Saturday. Are you going to be happy with that? How are you going to handle that? So we only have so much facility, and so we're...
And so you've gone against the grain, went against the grain right from the very beginning.
Absolutely.
Never opened on a Sunday.
Never.
Not going to open on Sunday or a holiday.
Never.
And how do you think it impacted your business?
Well, it's funny. I think it's great for recruiting, first off.
Right.
I really believe it's important in recruiting and family. It's funny because one family day I was in working, in the morning, and I was leaving, and this guy pulling on the door, and I left, and he goes, "You're not open today?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "Well, it's family day." And I said, "Exactly, my staff has families." And he looked at me and said, "I'll be back."
I'll be back.
Right? But some of our competitors open Sunday to think they could get a jump on us. Well, you open Sunday and they sell one car or two cars.
Right.
A person that can buy a luxury vehicle like a Lexus can come on Friday afternoon, can come Monday morning.
Right.
I'm worried about my staff, and it's also a great attraction tool.
Right.
We're not open Sundays.
Not open Sundays.
We're not open holiday Mondays. Don't worry about that. We're giving you a day off during the week, and I think, and our hours were different. Every hour was 9 o'clock. I said to my receptionist when I first started, because the old car guy, you have to be open till 9. People come at 9. Like, you got to, and I said to the receptionist, track it for me. Don't tell anyone. Just track how many phone calls we get and how many people walk in.
How many people walk in.
And so then I went to Bob and said, look at these numbers.
Right.
Like, let's cut our hours back. And he goes, cut our hours back. And I said, let's close at 7. There's nothing happening between 7 and 9. So the difference of getting home at 7:30 or 9:30 is huge.
It's a big difference for a guy that's got a family, young kids.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I think, this idea in retail is 24 hours a day, open 7 days a week, because someone works shift work. Well, we're not doing that.
Right.
And I don't know why retail's going so 24 hours a day stuff, but I guess
I think that there's been this instant gratification requirement. But again, I still believe that we're going to see, we're going to go back in time. We're looking at the biggest e-com guys in the world right now saying, wait a minute, we're going to open brick and mortar stores.
Isn't that interesting?
These are our advertising mediums. This is how we're going to gain market share. We're going to put up a store that's all about experience.
Right.
And, I'm going to say to them, you need to go and see Bruce at Lexus because he'll show you how to deliver an experience.
Yeah, and I think that I totally agree. We call our, people said, well, we're boutique.
Yes.
We're a boutique store.
Right.
We're one roof. We're not a big group. Decisions are made immediately there, which really helps too in our culture.
Yes.
And people like, you're boutique. Oh, boutique hotel. I like staying in boutique hotels. We're a boutique auto. And boutique auto kind of sets a different standard or a different perception, right? So we can always improve. Continual improvement. In Japanese word kaizen. Continually improving and continuing to look at our business. And we were just off site in Red Deer in December for 2 days, planning opportunities and challenges. I used to say to my management team, don't bring me the challenges, bring me the opportunities, because I know the challenges. Right. And they were so engaged in this now, and when I first started doing it, I had to turn them back to them a few times to redo it. Now they absolutely love it. It's so important. As a leader in your organization and in retail, where is the opportunity?
Where's the opportunity?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So just before we go, I want to ask this important question, because I know that you're impacted by economy, but I know you don't believe in it. How do you combat, as a boutique store owner, this widespread message of downturn?
Well, we make our own economy.
Right.
That's our message is let's not be looking out the window saying everything's sad. We'll make our own economy. We have an amazing database. We've got very loyal people. How are we going to keep them attracted? How are we going to build a wall around them? And what are we going to do to them today to help us in the downturn?
Yeah, what a great message from Bruce at Lexus. Build your own economy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Build your own economy.
Bruce?
Because if I walk around with head down, oh guys, it's horrible.
Oh, right.
You know, they're going to see that.
Everyone's
right?
down.
And we're not. We'll build our own economy. We'll be positive all the time. We gained market share when last year in the down economy.
Yes.
We gained market on our competitors.
Yep.
And we will try to continue to do that.
Right.
Is it hard work? Absolutely.
Of course it's hard work.
But that's fun though then.
Right.
It's exciting, right?
Yeah.
Hard work's fun.
Okay, for those that don't know where to find Lexus of Edmonton, let us know.
It's on 170th Street in the West End. It's called Lexus of Edmonton West on 170th Street. Can't miss it, 111th Avenue.
Bruce Kirkland, my guest today. Thank you so much, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. It's always good to see you.
Thank you.
I thought I'd have a rum instead of a water. But it's early in the morning.
It's early. We have to have water.
I was expecting a great guest experience here, and I got water. Not even coffee and Baileys.
We'll make it up.
Good to see you, Dan.
Thank you. Thank you, Bruce.
Right.
Thanks for joining us on the Wealthy Retailer podcast today. Again, my name is Dan Holman. If you haven't yet subscribed, please go over to thewealthyretailer.com and give us a listen. Here's another great podcast you should check out. In fact, if you haven't already, subscribe above and check out all of our podcasts. Subscribe above or visit thewealthyretailer.com and join our newsletter.